Welcome to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and Randy, who reveal the truth, the lies, and confusion about health so that you are no longer the victim to mainstream medical dogma and you are the hero to your own happy, healthy story.
Hello and welcome back to the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast with your hosts, Rob and
Randy.
And we are
the Happy, Healthy Guys.
Yeah, so welcome to another episode of the Happy, Healthy Life Podcast. This is episode number 102. We have passed the century mark on the podcast, going fast and furious. We're going to pump out a bunch this year. You know what? Have you ever tried to lose weight before? And you're motivated. It's the beginning of the year. You've lost some weight. And the next thing you know, oh, I just got stuck. And your weight just won't keep going down. No matter what it is that you try to do, it just will not go down. And then for some people, you either do one of two things. You either quit or you start persevering and you start exercising even more, or you start decreasing calories, and you double down, right? And you're still stuck.
Yeah.
And then you're like, screw this, it's not working. So you go back to doing what you were doing only to gain the weight back, and most of the time more. If you've ever had that happen to you, you're going to want to listen, because we are going to be talking about breaking through plateaus. And the principles that we talk about today with breaking through plateaus don't really apply only to losing weight. It really applies to anything when it comes to health. So whether you're listening in order to be able to get advice on healing your metabolism or losing weight, or maybe it's just living healthier, avoiding heart disease, avoiding cancer, avoiding diabetes, avoiding those chronic illnesses as you're getting older, you're going to want to listen to this, because we're going to show you how to make sure that you're overcoming any of those challenges. So buckle up.
I love it. Let's rock and roll, baby.
Let's do this. Okay. So, we get a lot of questions from people regarding the whole plateau thing when it comes to losing weight. They're at the beginning of the year, they're still sticking to their New Year's resolution, which is actually incredible by this time of year, because it's already,
they're gone.
We're in February.
Yeah. Most 98% of New Year's resolutions, they're in the toilet at this point, unfortunately.
Yeah. And I think so when you do plateau like that, I think there's a lot of reasons for that. One of those reasons being is, number one is you didn't have a plan to heal your metabolism. It's one thing, you just don't have a plan. And when you don't have a plan, that actually is a plan, and that's a plan to fail.
It is a plan to fail. It's a non-planned plan.
It's non-planned plan.
Yeah.
And so you got to plan it out. In fact, we were just talking, people ask us all the time, well, I can't be healthy because I'm traveling this weekend, right? I'm going to be out of town. It's going to be too hard. Well, that's actually an excuse. That's not the case. And I know this because even yesterday we were having a conversation, because we're going to be going to a mastermind seminar this weekend with some amazing experts in the health and wellness community. Our good friend Del Bigtree is going to be there, along with a lot of other folks as well. I'm looking forward to listening to his message. His message is entitled "Maha, Make America Healthy Again." Can't wait to listen to that. But I know we're going to be staying in a hotel. We're going to be out of town. We're going to be in Miami, in fact. And so I'm like, all right, I already know where we're going to be. So what do? I jump on the computer. I go to the hotel. And I looked at the hotel's menu to be able to make sure that there's foods that we'll definitely 100% eat, foods that are going to be metabolically healthy for us. I know we're going to be close to, we'll be close to the beach, so we're going to get our exercise in and get our exercise in at the hotel. But I literally wrote down, okay, this is what my menu is going to be the whole entire time that we are there. And even yesterday, and thank God for having a great best friend who's a genius when it comes to nutrition. But it really goes back to, like we talked about before in a past episode, the zip code that you're in, or the people that you're surrounded by, to be able to ask questions, which is why I love our community, because the folks that are going through our metabolism program always have people there to be able to get help whenever they have a question. They get the support that they need. So I asked Randy yesterday, I'm like, all right, here's what my goals are right now. So you got to have a goal, number one. Here's what my goals are right now. Tell me what you think about this strategy in order to be able to make sure that I am hitting this goal. For me right now, I'm wanting to get back down to under 10% body fat. So I don't want to mess that up. I've been really good since starting this at the very beginning of the year. My body fat percentage has been going down, my muscle mass is going up, and I don't want to stop that momentum. And we had the conversation. I'm like, what do you think about this? And we literally mapped it out
Yep.
of exactly what I needed to do to be able to make sure that I didn't mess it up and be able to. There's a place that we love down there it's an Argentinian restaurant. It's got all of these amazing organic meats and just seafood. It's amazing. And I wanted to make sure that by doing this, it wasn't going to mess anything up when I got back. So we made a plan.
We did make a plan. And that's really at the heart of it. If we didn't go into this trip and hadn't had these conversations or a plan, this is where you get into trouble.
Yeah.
Right? Because, there isn't a reason really, and you say this best, Dr. Rob, but really you talk about when you're the most busy, right? When the life is the most, quote, complicated, when you're on the road or you're traveling or you're not in your bed or in your environment or wherever you're going or doing, then all of a sudden that gives you a reason to just not care about your health anymore. Because typically that ends up what ends up happening, because the food choices become off, the alcohol choices get sideways. You're just not thinking you're exercise. You're not exercising. Well, heck, I'm out of town. I don't need to exercise. Hey, I'm sleeping in a different bed that I'm not normally in, so I'm not going to sleep as well. So I'm not going to have the energy to work out. All the excuses start happening versus going into that strategy going, wait a second, this is a real opportunity for me to really use self-discipline and have a plan and prove it to myself that I can be going out of town, staying at a hotel, being in an incredible city, and actually having a plan to not only maintain my health, but continue to improve my health. I couldn't be more excited about the hotel choice that you made, not because it's an expensive hotel, but it's the zip code. It's close to a beach, which I'm excited about because, we don't get a lot of beach time here in Dallas, Texas, if we're going to be honest. And I cannot wait to get my feet into the sand to do my earthing, my sun gazing, my exercise, my prayer meditation time in the morning. I know right there, that's going to put my metabolic health into overdrive. So I'm looking forward to actually getting healthier being out of town versus getting sicker or not having a plan.
Yeah, and I think one of the strategies that you can always use to be able to break free of those plateaus is having the mindset of being aspirational, right? And so they say, you can inspire somebody to do something, and they see and they're like, wow, I'm really inspired by you. And really, if you look at the word inspire, it's to breathe in, really breathe God in. And when you're being aspirational, it's to literally breathe God out by who it is that you are and leading by an example. So that's like saying, you know what, that's the person that I aspire to be. And also the other thing that I know is that when I'm in that room this weekend, we are going to be in a room with world-renowned experts in the world of holistic health. And so because of that, we have a reputation as the happy, healthy guys.
Absolutely.
Right? With not only the way, the energy that we present when we're there, the way we look, but what it is that we are doing.
No question.
So it's always fun whenever we go to lunch or whenever we go to dinner with everybody. What do you think that everybody is doing when we're at the table with them?
Yeah. Well, they're wanting to know what we order. In fact, it's always funny. One of our the doctor who's hosting this event, Dr. Fab, his fiance was always like, yeah, whatever Rob and Randy you're ordering, I'll take that. Always. She doesn't even want to know what's on the menu. She's like, whatever they're getting, I want that. But yeah, that is good to have accountability to, when you travel or when you're around family or friends, to have that on you. It does make a difference. But ultimately, and this is really at the heart of it all, Dr. Rob, it's really taking 100% accountability for your life. I think one of the lies that has been baked into the American psyche, not even just in America, but worldwide, is we've been given this victim mentality where there's no accountability that you have in your condition, which if you believe that, then you also believe the second part of the lie, which means you have no agency in your healing. So we have no accountability, which is a victim, no agency in your healing. Now you're a double victim. And so everything just happens to you by random chance. It's a garbage poker hand. It's germs, it's genetics, it's geriatrics. You're getting older. All these things you can do nothing about. So it really goes back to being, you know what, I'm not going to make excuses because I am going to take full responsibility for my health and the role that I play in my health. I think the mindset obviously prefaces everything else.
Yeah, it makes me think of the scripture, and I may not paraphrase this correctly as far as the scripture goes, but it's there's a way that seems right to man, but in
Proverbs,
the end leads to death. And what that means is that you can be able to have support with everybody around you who are doing all of the things of the world, which is, covering symptoms up with medication, not taking responsibility, saying, hey, you know what, you deserve it. Go ahead and sleep in instead of getting the workout. Hey, you deserve it. You're on vacation instead of eating good food. You just splurge a little bit, right? So all of these people are terrible accountability partners, by the way. And we were talking about this earlier. We're talking about my mom. And she's doing so great.
Super proud of Mama Norma.
I'm so proud of her. She had open heart surgery a couple years ago, and since then has really just leaned on me to be able to make these shifts in her health. She looks fantastic. She's doing great. I'm healthier than ever. And yesterday I sent her a text message. I'm like, hey, Mama, how you doing? She sends me a message back. She goes, I'm thinking about either eating a healthy breakfast or going to work out. And my response back was, well, why not both? And her response back was, good idea. That's what I'm going to do.
Brilliant.
Right. But if she would have sent that text message back to like one of like her best friend, her cousin who doesn't take care of herself. If you're listening right now on the podcast, I am calling you out. And so
like a family member call out on the podcast like this.
Absolutely. She doesn't take very good care of her health. And if my mom would have sent that message back to her, she probably would have said, hey, let's go have breakfast together. And the next thing you know, they probably would have ended up at like Cracker Barrel or IHOP or something like that. So that right there is what I mean by being aspirational. A good friend is going to be that friend that is going to call you out when you're just doing dumb things.
There you go. Amen to that.
Yeah. So that's one thing. So I think the point of that is, in breaking through the plateau is what's your zip code? Who are you hanging out with? Who are you choosing to hold you accountable when it does come to your health? It's kind of like if you were going to be managing your finances, you wouldn't want the person to be holding you accountable to your finances who is broke all the time. Not a good accountability partner. They'll have you spend money on whatever.
Yeah, it's a bad accountability partner.
Bad accountability partner.
It's like having, going to a medical doctor who's trained by a drug company and asking them for health advice. I don't know that I really want that advice because they really aren't trained in health. And so the advice that I'm getting is going to be based off a faulty model that we are victims and there's really nothing we can do except wait to get sick, do testing, take drugs, have surgery, or get the latest and greatest vaccine scam, right? So it doesn't make sense when you're going to those people. Nobody would hire a personal trainer that was overweight and on medication. I don't think that they would.
Well, a lot of people do, unfortunately, right? And the reason they do it is because they know, hey, I'm going to choose you to be my medical doctor or be my personal trainer or my nutritionist because you know what? I see you and you are going to allow me to be able to stay in my comfort zone.
Yeah, you won't. Right. So you accept me, but at the end of the day, you don't believe in me. Because if you believed in me, you would not let me keep telling myself all the BS excuses that I'm really the only one who's believing this, by the way. You're going to hold me to a different standard. So that is a part of your zip code. You want people who don't just accept you, they believe in you.
That's why I know if I walk into a gym and I'm picking a personal trainer, I'm going to pick the one that is the most ripped, the most fit, the biggest, because I know that guy is not going to put up with my BS. That guy or girl is not going to put up with my BS, even though I'm like, I don't know if I really want to. I'm not looking forward to it, but I know that that's going to be the person that's going to hold me to a higher standard.
Just stay out of his medicine cabinet.
I'm not going to ask him for that kind of health advice. All right, so let's talk about so why then, why do plateaus even happen? One of the things that you hear us talk about is this word called adaptation. Okay. The reason it happens is because and I'm talking about a plateau specifically when it comes to your weight, okay, or your body's ability to burn fat. Okay, it happens because there is a lack of metabolic adaptation. And there can be a lot of reasons why that happens. For those of you who have been listening to us and those of you who are new, one of the ways that happens is just from the toxins that are around us, right? Those toxins that literally literally wreak havoc to the cells inside the body, not allowing the water to be able to get into the cells, the nutrients to be able to get into the cells. It throws off your hormones, go all over the place. That leads to problems with your insulin, right? Your insulin, makes you insulin resistant, for example. All the different things, toxins can actually affect that adaptation. There's a lot of other things that we'll talk about today, but we just want to, hit on some of the ones that are the biggest reasons that could be happening. Because while you think that you may be eating the right foods, for most of you who are new to the podcast, it's probably because you're still in that mindset of counting calories, right? Reducing the amount of calories, but you're not looking at the quality of the nutrients that you're putting into your body.
Yeah, you don't want to count calories. Calories really don't matter if we're going to be honest. It's counting nutrients.
Yes.
Are you counting foods that are nutrient dense that your body recognizes as real and knows what to do with that are toxin free? Because that's a good point there. If you are toxic, and there's a lot of chemicals that we are exposed to, what they just talked about now, Bobby Kennedy's been obviously trying to get a lot of this stuff out of our food, but they're talking about how in America, there's over 10,000 chemicals they can use in our food that's not even really been looked at that are making us sick. And if your body is toxic, your body will become insulin resistant, and it has nothing to do with the calories that you're eating, but your body becomes insulin resistant because it now wants to actually start storing and making more fat. So your body has somewhere to shove the toxins into. So think about that. That's a metabolic condition that's directly influenced by the toxins, yet your body is doing the right thing by making you insulin resistant to protect you, to keep those toxins out of your organs and shove it into the fatty tissue.
Yeah, and it's not and we're not into politics or politicians, but as you were talking even about Bobby Kennedy, one of the things that he's really big on, this toxin that's probably the worst toxin that you could put into your body. And we've been talking about this forever.
Yeah.
Now are the seed oils.
Yep.
And so many people are now listening, and people are requesting now. They've got the apps out there that tell you places that you can eat that don't have the seed oils in it. And one of the things that happened very recently is there was a large chain hamburger place that switched out their oils from cooking their French fries in seed oil to cooking the French fries in beef tallow. So regardless of what your political affiliation is, if you're blue, red, green, red, purple, whatever it is that you are, that is huge when it comes to the health of the people in the United States, which is why I do love that Make America Healthy Again. It's not a political statement. That right there is just an ethical statement to be able to help people to be healthier. So if you can make that change in these people that are serving this, quote, fast food, imagine that now people are going to start requesting that, and we really can change the health of the people in the United States right now to be aspirational to other people, to people in other countries. So I think that's a really good thing.
Yeah, that's one reason you could be stuck.
Yeah.
You could be stuck if you've been eating seed oil because of the half-life of linoleic acid, which it's an omega-6 unsaturated 18 carbon chain fatty acid that's highly unstable under heat, light, and oxygen. And it will literally integrate itself into the tissues of our body and hang around for 2-3 years. It's hard to get rid of, which is one of the reasons why we created our metabolism program to help people detox from seed oil safely to get it out of their system. But I was just having a conversation with my brother Russell's father-in-law.
Yeah,
great man.
He is the best.
Yeah, you got to be around him a little bit when we were in Mexico.
I got to watch my potty mouth around him though.
Yeah, you do, because he that's a whole different story. Where he was like, "Hey man, can you tell Dr. Rob to stop cussing on the podcast?" And I'm like, "Well, Wes, if you haven't been listening to all the episodes, because I may have dropped a few myself, but yes, we want to keep this 100% PG rated because my nephews do listen every once in a while. But I was talking to him and he was asking me, he's made so many health changes, and I really love conversations with Wes, but he was talking about having inflammation in his joints and how his doctor had prescribed him an anti-inflammatory, which he took, and then of course his pain got better. Yet the inflammation didn't happen before the cause that created the inflammation did. So the inflammation wasn't the body doing the wrong thing, it's the body doing the right thing. And so he was trying to figure out, what am I doing wrong that's making me inflamed? Because he clearly gets it that you can't, you can't slap duct tape over a check engine light. It does not work. And drugs are never the reason why you're sick. Obviously they cover symptoms. So anyway, we started going through it. And because he's made a lot of health changes, but as we started going through what he's eating a ton of seed oil, tons of omega-6. And it wasn't like from canola oil, which really everybody at this point knows to avoid, and safflower and sunflower.
The obvious ones, yeah.
Right. But eating tons of nuts and seeds, roasted nuts and seeds, flax oil, tons of like vegetable-based foods that are high in like anti-nutrients like oats and oatmeal, which now is getting crushed with glyphosate, which is another toxin to our body, disrupts the microbiome. So as we were going through it, he was like, holy smokes, I'm still getting a ton of omega-6, which is very, very inflammatory. So I was excited to see the light bulb go off, because that had him stuck. And it wasn't a weight issue, because we know metabolic disease doesn't just cause you to gain weight. It really causes you to have chronic long-term inflammation. And remember, inflammation is not the problem. It's the solution your body's trying to do under the circumstances you created, going back to, are you taking accountability for your condition? Because if you don't take accountability for your condition, then you'll no longer take agency for your healing, which is why we've said a million times, if not more, the body does not need help healing. The body needs no interference. You've already been healed. You don't need more healing. God didn't make you and leave anything out. You've been healed. What are you doing that's getting in the way? And sometimes that's a journey, right?
Yeah, I think it's always a journey,
Always.
right? Yeah, it's the journey, not necessarily even the destination. It's who you're becoming along that journey. I know we are completely different people than we were even just 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And so, because the things that we've learned, thank God for the accountability. I think if it wasn't for Happy Healthy and what it is that we do on a daily basis, you know what, I wouldn't have that accountability to our team, accountability to the people in our program, accountability to the people that are listening. Who knows what would happen? That's why I'm going to be doing this forever. Right. So because it's helping, selfishly, it's helping me to stay healthy. Right.
No question.
And so here's another thing that could be keeping you from or causing you to plateau. For a lot of people who start a new, whether it's an exercise program or a nutritional program, we try not to use the word diet, but for the people that are listening, let's say you change your diet, right? And so one of the things that's been taught for a long time, which is completely false, is that you should eat several small meals a day. So it could be eating like, anywhere from 7 to 14 meals a day. And a lot of people might even be thinking, hey, you know what? I don't eat a lot of meals a day. I only eat breakfast, lunch, and dinner, and I'm eating healthy food during these times, but I'm still plateauing. Why is that happen?
Yeah, so obviously eating real food that's toxin-free is a no-brainer, but this is a big one because I think the average American eats 18 to 20 times per day.
What? How is that possible?
And that's, I think, what you're referring to, because people would say, well, I don't eat that often. Well, you have to define what that means. So what we're talking about is the amount of food required to break your fast and secrete the hormone insulin. And that's about 40 calories. And some of these things don't even have any calories and can still cause an insulin response. So let's give you some examples here. Maybe it's a sip of your latte. Well, that would be enough to cause an insulin release. Maybe it's chewing gum, especially with artificial sweeteners, because they can actually cause an insulin release. It could be that it's a bite of a cookie, it's a protein bar, it's a shake, it's breakfast, lunch, and dinner. It's drinking a glass of juice. It's drinking a glass of coconut water, which can be healthy and can be great. Maybe it's a tablespoonful of honey. Maybe it's a handful of almonds. Maybe it's some or any of all of those things. But before you know it, you've kind of snacked and grabbed and kind of done things all day long that really didn't ever allow your body to not have to be secreting insulin. And remember, insulin is not a problem. Insulin is not the villain. It's a great hormone. Thank God for it, because it allows to help maintain and regulate blood sugar, but it also is a very powerful tool to help keeping driving electrolytes to our tissues at the kidneys. That postprandial insulin response is a great thing. It shuttles nutrients into our cells. It helps strengthen our muscles. It is so important, but it's the continual hits of insulin throughout the day that now can start to create insulin resistance. And
that would stop you.
Yeah, and if you're insulin resistant, you literally, it doesn't matter what you do, you can starve yourself and you can't lose any weight. And a lot of times people get insulin resistant not only from snacking all day long or eating multiple meals or fake food or seed oils or artificial sweeteners, they actually can become insulin resistant by abusing the actual opposite of that, which is fasting all the time or not ever eating, because now you feel like every time I eat, I'm scared I'm going to get fat or gain the weight back. So you don't want to be in a starvation state. You don't want to be eating all day long. You really want to be more intuitive, where you eat nutrient-dense food till you're full, which you will get full. You'll create satiety, and then you don't eat again really until you're hungry again, which usually, if you're eating real food on somewhat of a decent metabolism, you're going to be eating 2 to 3 times per day is the likelihood. And that will keep you in a much more stable place, because insulin will come back down to baseline after you eat. And if you've eaten a regular, nutrient dense meal, after about 2 to 3 hours. Then there's a hormone called glucagon, and glucagon is the opposite of insulin, because insulin is helping drive glucose into the tissue, and glucagon allows your liver to release stored glucose, glycogen, into your bloodstream as kind of your snack. So the snack isn't eating every 2 to 3 hours, it's eating, let insulin do its job, let glucagon do its job to give you the snack from the liver, and then eating again when you're hungry again, which typically you're going to be eating every 4, 5, 6 hours.
Okay, so let's break. That's a lot.
It is a
okay,
lot.
So let's break all this down, make it simple. Okay, so somebody started their New Year's resolution. They've been eating, decreasing their calories, like we've been talking about. They plateaued. Obviously, their metabolism is not adapting, right?
Yeah.
And so, in order to be able to help them to reset their metabolic cycle, okay, through using like what you were just talking about, through a type of fasting, for example, and or not snacking, what is the exact way for them to be able to break that cycle of them not adapting, and maybe help them to be able to overcome that plateau? What is a practical thing that they could do, with what it is that we've been talking about?
Well, I think it's what we talked about. Number one, you got to start eating real food.
There you go.
If you're eating food that's fake and processed, it's got, processed grain, processed sugar, artificial flavors, sweetening agents, things that are built for shelf life. In the nutraceutical companies and the weight loss industry are riddled with this nonsense, because you're buying these processed bars and protein shakes and all these supplements that are really just aren't real food. So number one, simply eat real food. It is our acronym SERF. Real food is, if food doesn't go bad, if you set it on the counter 2 weeks later, it's probably not food. It's probably more built for shelf life. Number two is you've got to eliminate seed oil. So stop eating industrial seed oil. I was sharing the story earlier with my brother's father-in-law. Even eating all the roasted nuts and seed, that's omega-6 polyunsaturated fatty acids in these nuts and seeds that have been heated. And now you've broken those fats down. They create serious amounts of free radical damage. So stop eating omega-6 and start replacing seed oils and omega-6 with animal-based fats. Things like grass-fed butter and tallow, and eating, our favorite SCT oil, which we launched over 7 years ago as we started screaming from the mountaintops to run for your life from these seed oils. So things that are stable under heat, light, and oxygen, coconut oil can also be used. So eating real fats, simply eat real foods, simply eat real fats, avoid chemicals, toxins, processed food, and seed oil. I think if you're working on those two things and counting nutrients and not counting calories, you're going to get further along down the road. And then be intuitive. Stop forcing yourself to snack all day long or think that eating is going to make you fat or sick. Eating real food when you're hungry and then not eating again till you're hungry again is a good strategy. And it's probably ancestrally consistent, Dr. Rob. Now, also, which is ancestrally consistent is there may have been times there wasn't food. So sometimes maybe a 24-hour fast can go a long way, where you're maybe skipping breakfast or lunch and just having a dinner maybe once a week, once a month. But just listen to your body. But I think the biggest things are what we just talked about there: surfing for your food, surfing for your fats, avoiding toxins and seed oils. Really eating real food is the way to go. And then even some people do that. What about the person who's still stuck?
Yeah, exactly. Well, if you're the person that's still stuck even with that, and I think this is something that everybody should do is really find out what's going on with your metabolism and find out if it is a metabolism problem. We've made that really easy. We've got a metabolism score quiz that you can go to metabolismscore.com, take that quiz. That's going to show you exactly what's going on with your metabolism. If you have a metabolism problem, it's going to also show you what you can do about that to be able to overcome that, which is a great place to go. And I think the last thing, which a lot of people don't even think about when it comes to losing weight, is this, and this will 100% stop you, and that's going to be stress. So stress will stop you dead in your tracks, and stress can happen. This is probably more of a symptom of that stress, but it's like poor sleeping, which is also a symptom of poor metabolic health. But when your body is stressed and your body is secreting cortisol, cortisol literally is your fat storage hormone that's going to tell your body to start storing fat, regardless of what it is that you are doing. Even people that we have on our metabolism program, that's like, they're like, hey, why have things slowed down? Because, when we look at it, average, for women on our program are losing 22 plus pounds in only 5 weeks, and men is 30 plus pounds. So they're wondering what's going on. That's something that our coaches take a look at is seeing, okay, what kind of stresses are you having in your life? It's that person that's like, oh my God, I'm stressed out right now. Maybe it's a relationship thing. Maybe it's a financial thing. Maybe you're overloaded at work right now, and you've got so many different things coming at you. Maybe it's stress with your kids and what's going on with them. There's so many different things. They always say, the only people that don't have any stress are the people who are down the street in the graveyard 6 feet under. We all have stress. So because of the fact that we all have stress, we have to make sure that we are doing things in order to be both self-aware, but also doing things to be proactive. So when those stresses are happening around us, that we can be able to stay calm, cool, collected on the inside. I know I was having a conversation with a friend of mine, and he's going through all of these crazy things that have been going on. And he sends me a text message. He's like, hey, thanks for having a conversation with me on the phone about it. And his text message back after that, he's like, I always appreciate you because you are always so calm, cool, and collected. And I hear that a lot from different people about me. They're like wondering, how am I always so chill? And you're around me all the time. I'm pretty much like this all the time. And it's because of the practices that I put into place every single day. Like I can't start my day without my meditation, without my journaling time, without reading, without doing those things that I know that are going to calm my nervous system down, because I know once I finish that, it's kind of like, that's like my first work day is working on me day.
Yeah.
And my first work day happens from about 5 o'clock in the morning until 11 a.m. That's my first work day, and that's working on me. And then after that is when I go into like work, which is what we're doing right now. And I know that eventually, as soon as I take a look either at my computer or take a look at my my emails coming through on my phone, there's going to be all kind of things going on in there, which could cause people to be stressed out. But I know that I'm the priority in that. So you got to have some type of, what do they call it right now? They call it like a mindfulness practice, you know,
Yeah, like
nowadays.
a morning routine.
Yeah, but something that's
yeah.
going to help protect you from all the stresses around us.
No, I agree. And that's really what it boils down to is if you're stuck, the stress and the strain you're putting on your body is greater than your body's ability to adapt and recover to that. So it goes back to the things that we were talking about that could be breaking you down. And I like what you said about all those stresses that whether it was a relationship or your kids or your job or any of those things, there aren't calories in any of that. You think about, so the whole calories in, calories out has already been falsified and disproven. That is just not a real thing. It does not work that way. So if you're the person who always tries to live in a calorie deficit, you're already believed the lie. It does go back to how well are you adapting, Dr. Rob?
Yeah.
That's chemically, physically, and emotionally. And a lot of the stresses that you're getting have nothing to do with the caloric load. They're a part of what you talked about, your mindset, your ability to, not behave emotionally in every situation. I'll give you an example to buffer your point. Last week we were doing a weight loss challenge, and like right before we're getting ready to go live to all these people on this weight loss challenge, the PowerPoint just vanishes like a toot in the wind, so to say. And
Gone.
And it's gone. And I'm like, okay. And I'm looking at you and you're like, over here just trying to fix it, find it, recover it. All that to be said, 8 minutes later, we start this thing late, but we still pulled it off and nobody was freaking out. Nobody was panicking. Nobody's cortisol was shooting through the roof. A lot of times even too, the things that we let stress us out really are never, ever going to happen to begin with, or there's something that we've just conjured up in our mind and we can't let it go. So I always like to take all my anxieties to the Lord. 1 Peter 5:7, whether you believe in God or have a religious background or not, there's so much power in that when you really don't take it on yourself. Surround yourself with people that can hold you accountable, support you, people that you can talk to. And God's always listening. Never, never, ever forget that. He knows and he cares, and he's here to listen and give you the ultimate peace, which for me, I don't know how I would manage life without that.
Amen to that. It was really funny last week, even later on in the day. It was Wednesday, to be exact. I sent a message over to Coach Laura. I'm like, did you know that we actually lost the entire PowerPoint right as we were going live? And she's like, you know what? You guys did great. I don't remember exactly how you said it back, but but she's like, I didn't even know. But yeah, lost the entire thing. But it's like, you can freak out or, well, just figure it out.
Once again, go back and take responsibility. Just don't turn over anything to somebody else when ultimately it really is up to you. Know that it all depends on God, but act like it all depends on you. Don't be a victim. A victimhood mindset sabotages everybody's dreams. Have accountability for your life. That way you can also have agency in your healing and be the CEO of your journey. You definitely don't want to turn that over, especially to people that aren't qualified to advise you in those areas.
I think we should have like a blooper reel, like of all of the behind the scenes crazy stuff that happens with things. I was thinking back.
Well, we couldn't put it on Instagram because that's the highlight reel.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. all the craziness.
We'd have to put that on X.
Remember doing the, we did one of our challenges. It was the same day. It was on a day 3.
Okay.
I remember I was back home in San Antonio. It was after my father had a stroke. Well, after his stroke, he had fallen down and he broke his hip, and he was getting hip surgery literally that day. So as we're waiting for him to go into the surgery room, our day 3 of one of our challenges was happening. So you were here,
yeah, I remember,
in the studio doing the challenge.
Yeah, and somehow the PowerPoint didn't sync up or something.
Something was wrong.
Yeah,
so
shocking.
I'm in the hallway at the hospital, literally sitting on the ground because it was the only place that I could find that actually had an outlet. So I'm sitting on the ground, figured out the Wi-Fi. I think I had it like hotspotted to my phone, and I'm controlling the PowerPoint while he's doing the PowerPoint. We've done this so many times.
We've done live Good Morning TV with no blacked out camera. Don't even know. We can't see the interviewer going virtual.
We don't even know if anybody's watching what's going on. So we know exactly what the other person is going to say. We've been doing this long enough to where I'm like advancing the slides while Dr. Randy is doing it. And I'm in the hallway of a hospital. So there's no excuses when it comes to helping people and getting them healthier. So I think we could talk forever about, I don't know what it is about today's topic that I'm just really excited about. I could talk forever. However, we do have our very special VIP Happy Healthy group and community that we've got some VIP questions and answers for them. So we're going to jump off the podcast. Thank you so much for listening. Next week's going to be an awesome episode. We can't wait to get back on with you next week. We've got some, we've been guests on some podcasts. Those will be coming out as well. We'll be releasing those. So take a look at those. If you have any comments, definitely share those with us or questions at the H2 Life on Instagram. We will get back to you, answer those questions live on the air, and get back to you through that. Go to metabolismscore.com and like the show, share it with everybody that you know, and please leave a comment on there. If you love the show, definitely just put your comments on there on why you love the show, because that could encourage other people who are looking for answers when it comes to their health, to be able to get those answers from the Happy Healthy Life podcast. So thanks for listening.
Amen to that. God bless you guys.
Thanks for listening to the Happy Healthy Life podcast. If you enjoy the show, make sure to follow them on Instagram at the H2 Life or on YouTube and Facebook at the Happy Healthy Guys. Don't forget to like, subscribe, follow, and review the show wherever you listen to podcasts.